Slow power. Thousand demon daggers. Interesting. Aside from speed and power, I have more combat skills. Round 2.
His chi is starting to decrease. This is a good time to take back the demon dagger. I'm going to cut you in half.
Can you still defeat him?
Is it?
Bütün kızlar bende. Bütün
How can Clash of Clans fix the new Ruin Witch? It's obvious that the new Ruin Witch is the worst troop in the game, so it would help to reduce her Ruin Knight spawn speed down to 5 seconds while increasing her total spawns to 10. As for her housing space, reducing it to 18 would allow for more flexibility within armies. Finally, for the Ruin Knights, they need their 80 HP decay removed while also buffing their movement speed to 20. How can Clash of Clans fix the new
Pick 2 power to survive the anime
Did you notice that Spider Noir has always been the most experienced Spider-Man?
We can't stop him, at least blind him!
Yeah, you got him the web special.
When Spider Noir first met Ultimate Spider-Man, he simply took off his mask.
Can't be.
Do I look familiar?
Not anymore, kid.
Yikes! Note to self, stock up on moisturizer.
When Peter
Tuning in. Bum note. The impure. Let's call it a night's great harvest. Mind the tempo.
The big fishes come our way!
Oceans. Bow before me. Gales pure.
Hey folks, today is Friday, July 3rd, 2026. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. It has been a pretty bleak world in the video game news world if you've been following headlines recently, so we might as well address the thing right off the top. Sony and PlayStation have announced that they are killing physical games, basically. Physical production for PlayStation discs will end in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. This is from Sony PlayStation directly announcing this, which of course leads to a lot of questions. What does this mean for retail? Is this the end of video game stores? Well, we'll talk about all that. That's all speculation, but Sony directly here addressed the fact that sales trend digitally. I think, and I say this as somebody who has a cabinet full of physical games. I like buying physical games. The reality is that they're following the money and the data here that a lot of people are buying their games digitally now. And, you know, I think mainstream gamers, more casual gamers, they don't care. It makes sense why they're doing this. But, and this has already been talked about to death already, so, you know, if you'll excuse me, but for me, it's about consumer choice, price control, preservation, stuff like that. That's where I think it's a slippery slope, and that's where I think, you know, PlayStation essentially owning all aspects is where I think there is going to be some concern. To me, it's like, you know, switching from, say, vinyl to CD. It makes sense. Mediums change. It happens, right? We're going digital. But it's not like when everything went to CD, there was only one manufacturer of CD players that also controlled the manufacturing of CDs and distribution of CDs and also controlled the pricing of all CDs. Here, it's Sony essentially taking more control. And I just think for people who like to wait for sales, play around with retailers, try and get, you know, every sale or every promotion they can to get games cheaper because games are so expensive now. I think with this move, people are going to have less options over time, and I don't think that's good. So while yes, you may say, duh, Jake, it makes sense why Sony's going all digital. People buy digital. Yes, but I think we lose a lot more in the process. Not to mention the fact that also ownership is a whole separate conversation. Recently, people who own movies, or really, you know, of course, a license for that movie on their PlayStation accounts, they got some of them removed because of licensing issues, specifically with like the movie holders, the movie publishers. Once again, to quote Ars Technica, reminding everybody that they don't really own what they buy. If you own some titles, you're losing the ability to stream them, like movies like Rambo, Terminator 2. That's crazy. So again, all of this coming under Sony's digital-only umbrella. That's why I think it's important to raise these questions and have these concerns. Also, it seems like PlayStation is doubling down. I know people think with backlash sometimes companies tend to, you know, change course, but I think they're going to power through with this one. Number one, they announced it really early, so I feel like they're ripping the band-aid off. They're dealing with a bad PR right now, while there's just bad PR for everything in general, from Xbox to PlayStation to the game industry to the RAM thing. But they're doubling down on the fact that, like, as soon as this was announced, they are transitioning one of their major disc manufacturing facilities in Austria to making different things. So there you go. Engadget's reporting that Sony invested $34 million already to repurpose their EU PlayStation disc factory. And then, of course, in terms of video game stores and their issues that they're going to face, I think it's a lot more complicated. I think you're going to have things like GameFly and those types of services struggle more than they already are. GameSpot is in this weird spot where they're like doing their thing and already kind of moving away from physical video games anyway. But then also, my bread and butter, the places I like to go, brick and mortar, mom and pop retro game stores, which, you know, I'm fortunate in the tri-state area, we have quite a lot of them. I think they're going to be okay for now. Specifically because, if anything, I think this is going to create a stronger demand for people to go out and buy physical games and hold on to them. And yes, you can argue that some discs don't have everything you need on it in this day and age, but it still feels like the end of an era, and people are going to want to hold on to the physical things that they can purchase. Also, the cherry on top, the PlayStation 3 and Vita digital storefronts are closing as well. Chances are you're not buying things on the PS3 digital store anymore, but it's just another sign that the digital world isn't forever. It isn't concrete. You're still going to be able to access the content that you bought. You can re-download it, of course, but still, it's just a murky future. Again, for the average casual gamer, or a lot of people, like, they're not going to care, but I think for the players that have been hyper-focused on so long for, like, consumer advocacy and all the anti-consumerist practices that video game publishers have done over the years and how we push back against them, this is an important one to be concerned about. Also, with that, it's not just PlayStation this week, it's Xbox as well. There are things circulating out there suggesting that the next Xbox is also going to be a discless device going for an all-digital affair. That's a rumor. There's no confirmation yet, but I think that's the trend for both PS6 and Project Helix. Whenever the hell these things are going to come out, they're going to be like $1,000 anyway, but they're also probably not going to have disc drives. It just makes sense. It's like where things are going. Next up, this message is sponsored by Raycon. If for some reason you haven't heard of them, they provide quality wireless audio at half the price versus those other big brands, but they always have cool features and new products, especially the bone conduction headphones. It's summer, I'm outside doing yard work, exercising, getting sweaty, and these bad boys work great. Look at these, nice, flexible, easy on, fit, no problem. They actually use off-ear audio, sending sound through vibration in your bones, like Metal Gear Solid's codec. I'm serious. But what's great is that they're not covering your ears, so you still can hear the world around you, which is great when I'm outside. I don't know what's coming. Now I can hear it, and then thankfully I get to listen to whatever I'm doing, you know, music, podcasts through 13 hours of battery life. IP68 waterproof and dustproof as well, so that just makes them easy to take on, throw off, throw around your neck, no problem. Like I said, I rock these all the time, specifically when things are messy or if I need easy on and off. The great comfortable fit for my podcast, and Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you should check them out. There's a reason why Raycon has over 3 million customers. The bone conduction headphones are a great option for everyday listening. Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/GameRanksBC for 20% off. That's buyraycon.com/GameRanksBC to get 20% off. Check them out, and big thanks to Raycon for sponsoring. There is one interesting rumor coming out from Tom Warren at The Verge, who gets some Xbox scoops, sometimes saying that Xbox is, quote, testing disc-to-digital feature that digitizes a physical game collection. Essentially a feature where you will be able to, theoretically, insert a disc and then kind of redeem a digital version of that game. That sounds like a licensing and legal nightmare if they can actually pull that off. I think that'll be a big win for some players, and, you know, it might be something cool that Xbox can kind of try and get in on. We'll see, though. Xbox, of course, has enough problems of their own. We talked last week about the impending layoffs that are coming between Microsoft and Xbox. It seems like we're going to know more next week or so about that, but a lot of it is that full studios are on the chopping block. We've talked about reports of, you know, South of Midnight, Compulsion Games, as well as Ninja Theory behind Hellblade and Double Fine, but now reports this week come that it's also Arcane on the chopping block, with the Blade game potentially being canceled, as well as Undead Labs' State of Decay 3, which actually State of Decay 3 has actually finally been ramping up after so long being dormant. There were some like playtests and stuff like that, but yeah, everything's on the chopping block right now. Apparently there are still negotiations. The newest reports suggest that negotiations are still ongoing about these studios either getting spun off and purchased by other places or going independent themselves, but I think that takes some time. I still think that we are going to hear about a lot of layoffs and whole studios being gutted very soon as part of Xbox's big, quote, reset, which feels like more of a divestment than anything. It's not all doom and gloom, though. Some interesting stuff this week worth pointing out. Subnautica 2, remember that whole big legal court battle that was going down between Subnautica 2 developers and Krafton, this big conglomerate that purchased Subnautica and developer Unknown Worlds, there was that whole dispute where people were going to get screwed out of their bonuses, and apparently that court case is now finally wrapped up. That legal battle is over, and the developers of Subnautica 2 are going to be rewarded with that bonus. I was also looking at this in terms of just like what the future of that game is, because that means presumably it retains a lot of the talented people that worked on Subnautica 2, which is of course still in early access. So hopefully things are going to continue swimmingly now, because everybody can buy like a freaking sweet car after these bonuses. But you know, also the game can, I guess, proven a success already, but can be given everything it needs, because the early access was a killer, promising start. Also, in terms of cool new stuff, there was the announcement, a full trailer for this game called Guns of Escapon. I think if that's how you say it. This is a first-person Souls-like Western, which sounds cool because there's not a lot of first-person Souls-like other than the upcoming Valor Mortis, right? But here, I mean, look at it on screen. Not only does it look fun and awesome, but visually, the game was apparently created, it is the last work of Victor Antonov, who worked on Half-Life 2, Dishonored, Wolf, The New Order. Of course, a very distinct visual style, and you can see that here. This was the last thing he worked on, and damn, does it look gorgeous. This is definitely on my radar, man. In terms of games that are out this week as well, we just have Rhythm Heaven Groove on Nintendo Switch 2, which I do recommend. If you're into like rhythm games, it's fun with friends, it's very simple. It's kind of like if you like a lot of the rhythm-based stuff from WarioWare, this is the game for you. It's not a full-price game, and it's fun. But also some small updates on Toast, which was the newest game from Frictional Games, the people behind Amnesia. This was like a weird sci-fi horror crazy thing. This was supposed to release in the crowded release schedule that is fall 2026, but it has now moved. It's been pushed to 2027. Along with that, Onimusha Way of the Sword has actually been moved up 3 weeks. It's now releasing earlier than expected. It's releasing September 4th. I've talked about this one a lot on here and on my other YouTube channel, youtube.com/JakeBaldino. It's shaping up to be pretty fun, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, Chronos: The New Dawn from Bloober Team, the third-person sci-fi horror game, it's getting an expansion, whole new thing. This is Chronos Lazarus. We got a reveal trailer for it with like a lot more of an action emphasis here, but new abilities, new weapons, a whole new story thing to play through, and it looks really cool. It looks distinct, and Bloober Team's output lately has been impressive. We know they're working on multiple projects at once and giving us, presumably, hopefully, good DLC. Awesome, like to see. But it's something I was actually kind of surprised to see, but very happy to see. We can end on a good note this week. A new Metroid game has seemingly leaked. People caught notice of, thanks to a ratings board leak, a title called Metroid Ravenous, which sounds awesome. It sounds awesome because it kind of reminds me of Metroid Dread. So if it is another Metroid Dread style game, I am in 100% day one, dude. We don't know who's working on it. I'm curious to see like Mercury's team or like whatever the hell's going on with that whole thing. But at the very least, this is nice to see, especially considering like after Metroid Prime 4 hit, and I don't think it landed quite as hard as Nintendo wanted. I kind of just expected Nintendo to be like, oh, never mind. Okay, Metroid dead forever. We're gonna bury it. So if this is true, this is a real thing. Nice to see. Along with that, Video Game Chronicle head guy Andy Robinson, who also gets some scoops sometimes, he posted on social media that more than one of these are coming. I'm told we're eating Metroid fans. So more than one Metroid game potentially coming. I did not expect that at all. But in the midst of all this other video games shenanigans stuff going on, it just feels like everything is on a downward trend. Happy to hear that I'm getting some games I want to play at the very least. Next week's gonna be a little more busy because the July games release schedule is starting to kick in. Some new games coming out. We're also trying to get our hands on a Steam machine to review that for you guys. So keep your eyes peeled. But for now, I want to know what you guys think about everything in the comments. Specifically, I'm sure you have a lot to say about the PlayStation disc stuff. You know what it means, like grand scheme, right? We talked about it a lot. Like, what do you think it means for video game retailers, video game stores, and just the fact that everything is going all digital, and these platform holders are assuming more control over every aspect. Also, what do you think about the Xbox potential studio closures? I know we've talked about it a lot in previous weeks, but I still want to know what you're thinking here. The fact that Blade anything is just doomed. We can't get a Blade movie now. We can't get a Blade game. I don't know what's happening, man. But yeah, let me know that. Let me know what you think about everything going on this week. Also, pinned comment down below. It might be a sponsored comment, but either way, reply to that comment and let us know what you're currently playing. I always say this. I'm sorry, I'm a broken record, but it legit helps for research for us. We like seeing what games you guys are playing, new or old. It helps us when we do like the Game Ranks top 10 video type things. But yeah, that's it. That's it for now. Thank you very much for listening. Getting caught up on the news real quick here. I'm here every Friday. I've been here for over 10 years, I think, at this point. So clicking the like button helps. That's all we ask. Thank you. All I ask now is to stay safe. If you're in the tri-state area like me, you're getting killed by this heat wave right now. Drink water, be cool, relax, play some games. But yeah, that's it, man. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe. Pizza's on me. I almost said my other outro for my other channel. Pizza's on me. Have a great weekend. See ya.
The Knight's challenge has arrived. Such is that blessing. Destroy!
The boy was called Filth, even though he was born as the noblest man in the land. Still, just a bastard child in everyone's eyes. He had nothing to his name but contempt from others. If he had any ability at all, it was healing. The heavens had blessed them with that power, and in this world, those who trained in the art of healing were known as healers. They were respected and lived in comfort, no matter where they came from. So for a bastard like him, there was no other way to be accepted by society than to become a healer. Even with all the late night studying and hard work, he's still pretty lousy at healing. One just can't make up for a lack of natural talent by trying harder. 5 years have gone by and he's still stuck as an apprentice. For most healers, it's just a job, but for him, it's a daily struggle where he's constantly looked down on and mocked by others for being useless and foolish. Everyone treats this blonde kid like he's top-tier trash, especially since he's the son of someone so great. Then one day, something weird happens in the library that scares the hell out of him. A blue window suddenly appears in front of him, saying the player has awakened as a doctor. It's like a miracle for this guy, someone who never thought his life could turn around. At first, he figures he must be hallucinating from exhaustion. He's never even heard a word like that before, and if he had to imagine anything, he'd rather it be a healthy delusion than this. Then out of nowhere, there's a flash of light. Everything goes bright, and suddenly his clothes change like he's the one in charge of an operating room. Just like that, he sees a body in front of him, bleeding out with unstable vitals. Someone calls for a transfusion, and he has no clue what's going on. Words like clamps, forceps, and levofed are being thrown around, and none of it makes sense to him, yet somehow, he knows exactly what to do. The meanings just pop into his head, like they were there all along. On top of that, he's even holding his hands above his waist without thinking, like he's keeping them sterile, and he suddenly realizes he's a doctor about to perform surgery on a ruptured spleen, which is a splenectomy. Deep down, he knows no amount of healing magic could save this patient, but medical science might actually keep him alive. Then, in a flash, he snapped back to reality, and it feels like only a second has passed. The idea of cutting open someone's stomach to help them seems like some twisted form of healing to him, almost barbaric, like some kind of fake magic. With a nervous laugh, he tells himself it's just a strange dream from overworking, but deep down, he knows it wasn't. Somehow, he has a gut feeling that this way of healing is much better and more reliable than what's usually done. In the land of Lepentina, healing magic doesn't help many sick patients, but medical science actually gets the job done. The guy's head is spinning like crazy when a window pops up, congratulating him on awakening to a new occupation as a grade SSS doctor. It tells him to check his status window, where his name appears as Dr. Raymond, or we will be calling him Dr. Ray from time to time. His occupation level is listed as novice resident, and his
So here's the thing, I died. Yeah, real bummer. 1 second, I'm Lou Foam, freshly minted economics PhD from a fancy American university. Got a professor gig lined up. Life is looking sweet. Next second, zap, lightning bolt, game over. Except not really, because I woke up in some white room sitting across from a bearded old dude who casually dropped the line. Hi, I'm God. My brain just blue screened. Like, full crash. No reboot for 5 solid seconds. Turns out, God goofed. He accidentally made it rain and thunder in a spot where it absolutely should not have been raining or thundering. One single bolt of lightning. And guess who it found? Me. The universe's favorite punching bag. So God felt bad and offered me a deal. Can't revive me on Earth because apparently that breaks reality or something. But he let me reincarnate in a fantasy world called Samus. He showed me the character creation menu. Yes, like a video game. Races with stat sheets and everything. Dragons. Cool but dumb. Giants. Even dumber. Elves. Smart, but basically living in caves eating berries. Hard pass. I picked human because, honestly, no glaring weaknesses and I'm an economist. I work with what's reliable. Then came the family picker. God said no royalty allowed because I'm apparently too overpowered for that. So I went straight for Duke family. Why? Because I grew up an orphan eating struggle meals, and I decided my second life was going to be luxury from day one. I also asked for loving parents. A man has priorities. God gave me 3 gifts, a skill called endless learning that lets me master anything if I actually put in the work, so basically useless if I'm lazy. Thanks for the passive-aggressive motivation, God. A weekly prayer hotline to chat with him, an instant language download. Then he hit the respawn button, and everything went white. Next thing I know, I'm a baby. A tiny, chubby, drooling baby named Arthas Blondfield, firstborn son of Duke Victor Blondfield. My mom Eli Vi is cooing over me calling me adorable. My dad is cracking jokes about how comfortable mom's arms are. The man has zero filter. I tried to stay awake to enjoy the attention, but this baby body just shut down. Fell asleep mid-cuddle. Embarrassing. Meanwhile, Dad marched out to the Great Hall and announced my birth like I was a national holiday. And honestly, I kind of was. The Blondfield family helped found this kingdom nearly 1,000 years ago. So Dad threw a 7-day party across the entire duchy. For a baby. For me. There's already talk of an even bigger bash when the foreign nobles show up for my 1-month celebration. Dad said he wanted to relax and stop thinking about work today. He lasted about 4 seconds before he started networking with merchants and military officers at my own birth party. That's my dad. And this is my new life. Born rich, born loved, and born with a cheat code from God himself. Let's see how badly I can mess this up. So apparently my birth was kind of a big deal. Like, a really big deal. Let me walk you through the chaos I caused while doing absolutely nothing but sleeping and drooling. First up, my mom's side of the family. My grandpa, Mike Reisman, is the Western Marshal of the entire kingdom. Basically the top military dog for the whole Western Front. This man once crushed an invasion from the Ackman Orc chieftain nation, chased them back across the border, stomped them so hard they had to surrender land and beg for peace. A certified legend. A war hero. And this legendary warrior abandoned his post the second he heard I was born. Saddle my horse. I'm going to see my grandson right now. My Uncle John, who inherited the Reisman border county, had to physically stop him. There was a whole argument. Grandpa pulled the, how can you deny a grandfather his grandchild card? Uncle John pulled the, you literally snuck home last month to see your other grandkids card. Grandpa did not deny this. The man has zero shame, and I respect that deeply. They also got into a fight about who's to blame for sending my mom away to marry Dad. Grandpa blamed Uncle John. Uncle John blamed Grandpa. Both of them admitted Dad was actually a great catch, and Mom is genuinely happy. But they're still mad about missing her. These two are basically a comedy duo who happen to command armies. Eventually, Uncle John convinced Grandpa to go back to the military headquarters, sort out his responsibilities, and then come to my 1-month celebration like a civilized person. Grandpa agreed, but I'm pretty sure he was plotting another escape the entire ride back. Now here's where it gets even better. Over in the royal capital, the king, Igahog XXXIII, was in the middle of a heated council meeting. The agriculture minister was yelling about farmland going to waste after years of war. The military minister was yelling back that pulling soldiers to farm would weaken the army. Classic government stuff. Everyone screaming, nobody solving anything. Then my other grandpa stepped in. That's right, grandpa number 2. Kerry Blondfield, former head of the Blondfield family, current prime minister of the entire kingdom. This man calmly proposed having soldiers do farming as part of their physical training and count marching to the fields as long-distance drill exercises. Problem solved in 30 seconds. Smooth as butter. Cool as ice. This unshakable, legendary politician who handles national crises without breaking a sweat, he completely fell apart when a messenger walked in and announced my birth. The entire court went silent. Then they heard a sound. Splat. Grandpa Kerry had dropped every single document he was holding. Papers everywhere. And when he bent down to pick them up, he kept dropping more. One hand picking up, the other hand fumbling. The most powerful bureaucrat in the kingdom turned into a nervous wreck because his grandson was born. The king, who's also Grandpa Kerry's best friend, by the way, just watched this disaster unfold, cleared his throat, and said, I'm giving you 40 days off. Take the crown prince and go to the celebration. Grandpa Kerry could barely choke out a thank you. And for the rest of that afternoon, the man famous for never making mistakes reportedly made more errors than he had in his entire 3-year career as prime minister combined. Meanwhile, the news spread everywhere. Allied kingdoms sent congratulations. Enemy nations started scheming. Political allies made plans. Political rivals sharpened their knives. The whole continent was reacting to my existence. And me, the center of this geopolitical earthquake, I was asleep in my mom's arms. Just absolutely knocked out. Drooling on expensive silk, probably. Living my best baby life without a single care in the world. Honestly, greatest start to a second life I could have asked for. 2 grandpas who'd burned down the world for me. A dad who throws week-long parties. And a mom whose hugs are so good they're basically a sleep spell. Being baby Arthas Blondfield rules. 7 hours into my glorious new life, I opened my eyes for the first time. And the first thing I saw was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in either of my lives. Golden hair, sleeping face like a painting, easily top 10 worldwide. Then my brain caught up. Dude, that's your MO, right? Cool. Switching from heart flutter to wholesome family feelings in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're good. I just lay there watching her sleep, smiling like a little idiot. Peaceful moment. Beautiful start to a new. My stomach growled. Well, not growled exactly. More like my entire tiny body screamed, feed me, in baby language. I tried to be mature about it. I'm a grown man mentally. I can handle a little hunger. I'll just wait for mom to wake up or a maid to notice. I lasted about 4 minutes. Turns out, baby bodies have zero willpower. The hunger hit, and my eyes started leaking on their own. Then came the whimpering. Then the full volume. No dignity. Screaming, ugly cry. Me, a PhD graduate, bawling my eyes out because I was hungry. First time in either lifetime I've been literally cried for missing a meal. Mom woke up, picked me up, rocked me gently. Oh, what's wrong, little darling? A maid figured it out. He's probably hungry, my lady. Oh no, mommy will feed you right away. Great. Problem solved. Food is coming. I'm safe. And then mom started undressing. My brain did the math about half a second too late. I'm a baby. Babies eat from. Oh no. Before I could even process the situation, 2 hands lifted me up and my face was heading straight toward the feeding station. I watched in slow motion as my crying mouth, still wide open from all that screaming, approached the one place that only husbands and infants are authorized to access. I have no memory of what happened next. My brain performed an emergency shutdown to protect what was left of my dignity. All I know is that my mouth was doing something mechanical and rhythmic, and I was not mentally present for any of it. I checked out. Gone. Nobody home. When I finally rebooted, the meal was over and mom had moved on to playtime. And by playtime, I mean those peek-boo, tickle-tickle, coochie-coo games that every parent does with their baby. Mom was having the time of her life. Giggling, making silly faces, waving toys around. I'm 26 years old inside, but she looked so happy. So genuinely, radiantly happy playing with me. So I did what any loving son with a PhD would do. I waved my little sausage arms around and went, goo goo ga, like a trained circus baby. Oscar-worthy performance. 5 stars. Then came embarrassment number 3. I had to pee. Now here's the thing about being a baby with an adult brain. I knew I needed to go. Normal babies? They just let it rip without a second thought. They don't even understand the concept of holding it. But me? I'm sitting here clenching muscles I didn't even know babies had, desperately trying to communicate. Bathroom, please. Through a mouth that can only produce HHHYGA. I'm flailing. I'm waving. I'm making every signal I can think of. Mom's watching me like it's the cutest thing she's ever seen. Oh, look at you wiggling around. So playful today. No, not playful. Bathroom. Toilet. Please, for the love of God. The pressure was building. The dam was cracking. I started crying again because that's literally the only communication tool this stupid baby body has. Mom panicked. She didn't know why I was crying. The maid didn't know either. 1 minute I was playing, the next I was screaming. They stared at each other, completely baffled. Then mom picked me up and started rocking me. The rocking made it worse. Now it wasn't going to be a bed situation anymore. It was going to be a MOM situation. I was going to go on my mother. The most beautiful woman in 2 worlds. The woman who gave me life. It happened. The dam broke. I have never felt such a complicated mix of emotions. Relief, because oh my god the pressure was finally gone. Shame, because I just peed all over my mother's expensive clothes. Horror, because I'm a grown man who just, and mom? She laughed. Oh, that's why you were crying. You needed the bathroom. Oh my goodness, how clever. You tried to tell mommy, but mommy didn't understand. I'm so sorry, sweetie. She wasn't mad. She wasn't grossed out. She was proud of me for trying not to pee on her. The bar for achievement in baby life is underground. This went on for over a year, by the way. Every single day, the feeding, the games, the bathroom disasters. At some point I just stopped being embarrassed. You can only pee on your mom so many times before your pride simply evaporates. Being reborn is glamorous, they said. You'll have cheat skills, they said. Nobody warned me about this part. I woke up wet. Again. At this point my morning routine was open eyes, feel the swamp, cry for help, get cleaned up by professionals. Rinse and repeat. Literally. After a week of life, I got upgraded from mom's bedroom to my own room. And when I say my own room, I mean a room so massive that my actual bed could fit 6 people comfortably. And it was still only 1/6 of the space. I had a fancy desk, a wardrobe, chairs, toys, the works. Duke lifestyle, baby. But did I sleep on that glorious king-size bed? No. I slept in a tiny crib next to it while 2 trained nanny maids got to enjoy my luxurious mattress. The reason I got kicked out of mom's room? Officially, mom has no childcare experience and might not handle emergencies well. Unofficially, mom and dad have a nightlife. Yeah, I didn't need to hear that through the walls. Eviction was a mercy. Now, here's where things got interesting. Normal babies take 2 months to lift their heads. I did it in 1 week. Having an adult brain controlling a baby body is basically like having a cheat code for physical milestones. Mom was thrilled. She was running around telling everyone her genius baby could hold his head up already. But my real secret weapon? Language. See, moving your body as a baby is hard because baby muscles are garbage. But talking? That's mostly about your voice box and practice. Normal babies don't try to talk on purpose. They just accidentally make sounds until words happen. Me? I was running speech drills in my crib like a man preparing for a TED Talk. Every day, my pronunciation got a little clearer. I had a plan. A beautiful plan. Fast forward to day 25. Mom, dad, and dad's second wife Shia were having afternoon tea in the garden. Quick note on Shia. She's pregnant, pretty, has short brown hair, and is the daughter of Viscount Tom Phillid, who's basically the deputy prime minister. Grandpa Carrie and Tom are best buddies who planned this marriage together. And honestly, Shia is super cool. She and mom get along great. Zero drama, zero jealousy. This household is weirdly wholesome for a noble family with multiple wives. Anyway, they were chatting about my upcoming 1-month celebration. Grandpa Mike the war marshal, Grandpa Carrie the prime minister, and even the crown prince, who dad called that idiot. We're all coming. Dad wanted to carry me around at the party to show me off. Mom was a little worried, but Shia talked her into it. He's so cute, everyone will die of jealousy. Then they started joking about how if both grandpas leave the capital at the same time, the king would lose his mind. Dad was already laughing, imagining the king's stressed out face. And right in the middle of all this cozy family chatter, I woke up. Dad noticed first. Oh, Arthas is awake. This was it. The moment. 25 days of secret vocal training. Weeks of practice in my crib while the maids thought I was just babbling. I turned my head, looked at my father, opened my mouth, and delivered the word I'd been rehearsing. Baba. Silence. Total. Complete. Silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. 3 adults frozen in place like someone hit the pause button on reality. It was getting awkward. Really awkward. So I pivoted. Turned to mom. Locked eyes. Dropped the second bomb. Mama. More silence. Even more silence. The garden was so quiet I could hear a butterfly judging me. I was starting to sweat. Did I mess up the pronunciation? Was it too early? Did I break them? Are they okay? Should I cry? That usually works. Then dad exploded. And that's where I'll leave it. Just me, a 1-month-old baby genius, sitting in my mom's arms while my father lost his entire mind over 2 syllables. 26 years of academic achievement in my past life. PhD in economics. University professorship lined up. Greatest accomplishment of both my lives. Saying Baba and Mama at a tea party. So remember when I said Baba and Mama at the tea party? Let me tell you what happened after dad's vocal cords detonated. Mom snapped out of her trance first. But before she could say anything, dad, still vibrating with excitement, shoved his face at me and went, "Come on, Arthas. Say it again. Baba. Dad's eyes got watery. Mom saw this and immediately cut in line. Arthas, say mama too. Mama. Mom ascended to heaven. I could practically see her soul leaving her body from pure happiness. Then they took turns, back and forth, over and over. Say Baba. Baba. Now mama. Mama. Baba again. Baba. Mama. Mama. I became a human jukebox with a 2-song playlist. They kept requesting the same tracks and losing their minds every single time like it was brand new. I don't know how many times I said it. Dozens? Hundreds? I lost count somewhere around the 40th. Baba, my parents, however, remembered the exact number. Because of course they did. This went on until my baby body physically gave out, and I fell asleep mid-syllable. I was basically a wind-up toy that ran out of battery. Now, apparently I should mention something about the people watching this circus, specifically Lulu, one of my caretaker maids. I pieced her story together over time. She's a slave bought by Grandpa Carey when she was young. The Blondfield family treats their slaves decently, no abuse, which apparently makes us the good guys by noble standards. Low bar, but okay. According to Lulu, I'm apparently the easiest baby in recorded history. Most babies cry for no reason at random hours of the night, turning their caretakers into sleep-deprived zombies. Me? I only cry when something is actually wrong. Hungry? Cry. Need the bathroom? Cry. Existential crisis about being trapped in an infant body. Okay, that one I keep to myself. The maids were so prepared for nightmare shifts that they set up a rotation schedule. 3 maids, taking turns through the night, bracing for chaos. They never needed it. I was so low maintenance that their biggest job perk became sleeping on my ridiculously luxurious bed while I chilled quietly in my crib. Lulu literally said she'll probably never sleep on a bed that nice again in her life. You're welcome, ladies. She also noticed I'd been practicing my pronunciation since day one. Most babies just randomly gurgle. I was running vocal drills like a man on a mission. She thought it was weird but cute. And when I finally dropped the Baba Mama bomb today, even she was shocked. What she wasn't shocked about was my parents completely losing their composure. Apparently Dad going feral with excitement is becoming a regular event since I was born. The great Duke Vicshire Blondfield, respected leader, political powerhouse, reduced to a giggling mess by a baby saying 2 syllables. Lulu wanted to step in and say, hey, maybe stop making the 1-month-old perform like a circus act? He might get tired, but she read the room and wisely kept her mouth shut. Smart woman. You don't interrupt 2 nobles in the middle of a parenting high. After I passed out from exhaustion, Lulu carried me back to my room. And on the way there, she thought I was asleep so she wouldn't get caught. She leaned in and whispered, Arthas, try saying Lulu next. Lady, I was out. Completely unconscious. Gone to dreamland. But honestly, that was kind of adorable. Consider it added to the playlist. You've earned it. So that's the story of how I became the most popular 2-word DJ in the duchy. Coming soon to a party near you. Arthas Blondfield, live in concert, performing his smash hits, Baba, and Mama, and maybe, just maybe, a surprise new track. Let me set the scene for the absolute circus that was my 1-month birthday party. But first, my Grandpa Mike. This lunatic. This beautiful, unhinged madman. So remember, Grandpa Mike is the Western Marshal, top military commander of the entire Western region. His one job is to stay at headquarters and make sure the Orc nation doesn't invade. So what did he do before leaving to see me? He launched a preemptive military strike. Not because the Orcs were attacking, not because there was a threat. No, he destroyed their watchtowers, wrecked their supply routes, and smashed their forward positions, purely so they'd be too busy rebuilding to invade while he was away visiting his grandson. He calculated that repairing all that damage would take months, which was more than enough time for him to come cuddle me and get back. Uncle John was losing his mind. Father, you can't just start a border conflict so you can go see a baby. Grandpa Mike didn't even blink. It's fine. The king won't mind. We're buddies. You can't just make the prime minister and the king clean up your mess. Why not? We've been friends since before you were born. Uncle John sighed so many times during that conversation, I'm worried he permanently damaged his lungs. Oh, and Grandpa also forgot to prepare a gift. For his own grandson. His own first grandson whose party he literally committed acts of war to attend. Uncle John, saint that he is, had already sent a gift caravan ahead days ago because he knew this would happen. Meanwhile, my other grandpa, Carey, the prime minister, was riding toward our territory with the crown prince. Prince William turns out to be Dad's best friend since school. They're basically brothers. The prince was annoyed that Dad had a baby before him. His own kid wasn't due for another 2 or 3 months. Grandpa Carey hadn't been home since becoming prime minister, and I could tell from the stories that he was barely holding it together with excitement. Now, the party itself. This wasn't some casual get-together. This was a full-scale political event disguised as a baby shower. The guest list read like a who's who of the entire Eastern continent. The entrance order alone was a whole production. First came the merchants and local big shots, basically people trying to network their way into our family's good graces. Then the lower nobles, all of whom showed up personally because sending a representative to a duke's party would be social suicide. Then the major noble houses, entering in a very specific political order. Enemies first. They mostly sent representatives because, you know, awkward. Then political allies, then actual relatives. The seating chart for this thing probably required its own department. After all of that, Dad walked in carrying me, flanked by Mom and Shia. And the second we entered, we were swarmed. Duke Vicshire, what a pleasure. I am, Lady Eli. You look stunning as always. Lady Shia, congratulations on your, oh my, young Arthas is so, just a wall of noble small talk hitting us from every direction. Dad handled it like a pro. Mom smiled gracefully. Shia was polite and charming. And me? I was a 1-month-old prop being passed around like a very expensive, very cute football. Then the grand finale entrances, the ambassador from the allied Brainerd Kingdom, and Crown Prince William himself. Once everyone was seated, Dad stepped up and delivered his speech. Welcome everyone to the celebration of my son, Arthas Blondfield. As you can see, this adorable little guy right here is my pride and joy. Your presence honors both me and Arthas. Please enjoy yourselves. Dad raised one hand to wave at the crowd while holding me with the other. And here's where I pulled off the greatest political move of my infant career. As Dad waved, I raised my tiny little baby hand and waved too. The crowd melted. I could feel the collective awe ripple through the hall like a shockwave. Hundreds of nobles, warriors, merchants, and diplomats, all reduced to puddles by one chubby arm wiggle. Was it calculated? Was it instinct? Was it my adult brain reading the room and executing a perfectly timed PR move? I'll never tell. All I know is that on this night, in front of the most powerful people in the kingdom, I, Arthas Blondfield, age 1 month, absolutely owned that room with a single wave. Eat your heart out, Crown Prince William. The real star of this kingdom just arrived. After the big fancy party ended, the inner circle gathered for a private after party. About 10 people, my family, the grandpas, Uncle John, Prince William, and Shia's brother and his wife. The second the formalities dropped, both grandpas lost all dignity and rushed at me like 2 linebackers fighting over football. Arthas, I'm your grandpa. Let me hold you. Carrie, stop pushing. Back off, Mike. You already have other grandkids. This is my first grandson. I have priority. 2 of the most powerful men in the kingdom, the Western Marshal and the Prime Minister, shoving each other like kids fighting over the last cookie. Mom thought this was hilarious and decided to pour gasoline on the fire. Haha, Arthas is so popular. So, Arthas, who do you want to hold you? Both old men whipped their heads toward me with desperate puppy eyes. Come to Grandpa Mike. No, come to Grandpa Carrie, Mom. Why? Why would you do this to me? She probably thought I'm just a clueless baby who'd innocently reached for one side. But I'm a grown man inside this chubby body. I know exactly what happens when you pick favorites between two powerful old men. Wars have started over less. So I deployed my emergency escape move. Mama, I reached for Mom. Neutral territory. Switzerland strategy. Neither grandpa could complain because who's going to argue with a baby choosing his mother? Both grandpas went silent. Then Mom casually mentioned I learned to talk 5 days ago. Their competitive grief instantly transformed into competitive pride. My grandson is a genius. My grandson is a genius. Then immediately, say Grandpa Carrie. No, say Grandpa Mike first. Again with the choosing. I just solved this problem and you're creating it again. Being a diplomat at 1 month old is exhausting. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, Dad was drinking expensive wine with Prince William and Uncle John. Turns out these three are old military buddies. They served together when they were young and apparently once snuck behind enemy lines and destroyed an orc watchtower. Just the three of them. Absolute maniacs. They were also reminiscing about how Dad somehow stole both of the army's prettiest women. Mom and Shia were apparently famous beauties during military service, and Dad snagged them both. William and John were still salty about it years later. How did you manage to get both of them? Dad just smirked. Legend. Then the conversation took a turn that I, a 1 month old baby minding his own business, was not prepared for. By the way, Vic, William said casually, Arthur's got 45 marriage proposals tonight. 45. I am 1 month old. I haven't even figured out how to control my bladder yet, and 45 families want me to marry their daughters. 31 of those weren't even for primary wife. They were offering their daughters as secondary wives. My dating pool is already deeper than anything I had in my entire previous life. The irony is painful. Dad seemed mostly amused. Was I this popular when I was born? I need to ask my old man if he rejected any beauties on my behalf. William explained why. The Blondefield Duchy is basically a country within a country. Our territory alone produces 20% of the entire kingdom's tax revenue. We border the elven kingdom of Kylal, and we trade them food for magical items, which is apparently a goldmine deal because our land is super fertile and elves can't farm to save their immortal lives. Everyone wants a piece of this. Then William dropped the real bomb. Hey Vic, if one of my 3 pregnant wives has a daughter, want to set up a marriage arrangement with Arthas? Dad didn't even hesitate. A princess for my son? Done. But raise her right. I don't want some spoiled brat for Arthas's main wife. You raise your kid right. If he turns out to be some arrogant noble punk, I'm canceling it. Then Uncle John jumped in. What about him, my daughter? Jovier is only 2 years old. Perfect match. Dad agreed to that one too. The Reisman family produced Elivi, so Jovier should be great. And just like that, while I was across the room trying to avoid saying one grandpa's name before the others, these 3 clowns were casually arranging my love life over wine. I went to bed that night with 2 fiancés, possibly 3, depending on whether Prince William's wives deliver girls. I'm 1 month old. 1 month. I haven't taken a single step. I can barely say 2 words, and I'm already engaged to a princess and my cousin. In my previous life, I died single. In this life, I've been alive for 30 days, and I'm practically building a harem. The universe has a sixth sense of humor. 6 months old. Half a year in this world, and here's what I've learned. Time works differently here. Months are 35 days long. Years are 420 days. My calendar is basically on steroids compared to Earth's. But let's cover the important news first. Prince William's wife had a baby girl, Saliris Igahog, which means my arranged marriage is now confirmed. I have an actual fiancée. She's 3 months old. I'm 6 months old. We're basically the world's youngest engaged couple. Our dads agreed to keep it unofficial until they can observe our personalities, which is royal code for. Let's make sure neither kid turns out to be a brat before we commit. Also, Shia had her baby, a little girl named Dayala, my half-sister. Unlike me, she's acting like a completely normal baby, crying randomly, 0 signs of secret adult intelligence. Just vibes. Must be nice not carrying the burden of 2 lifetimes of consciousness. Oh, and the king is retiring. Yep, Grandpa Carrie's best friend decided that now that Prince William has a son and heir, it's time to pass the crown. Coronation is set for January 1st next year. William is about to become King Igahog the 34th. Dad has to attend, obviously, because when you're a duke, every royal event is mandatory. But honestly, none of that mattered to me right now. My personal mission was way more important, learning to move. My language skills were exploding. The family hired people to read me storybooks around the clock, and combined with my language comprehension, gift from God, I could understand every single word on the page, even if I couldn't pronounce them all yet. I was basically speedrunning literacy, while everyone thought they were just entertaining a baby. I was dying to get my hands on real books, history, politics, and especially magic. But I couldn't get to the library because I couldn't move. Until 2 weeks ago, I learned to crawl. Freedom. Sweet, glorious freedom. Mom and Dad were thrilled by my advanced development. I was thrilled because I could finally execute Operation Baby Adventure. The plan was simple. Wait for the maids to leave, escape my room, explore the mansion. I've been staring at the same 4 walls for 6 months. Time to see my house. Attempt number 1 was a disaster. Step 1, get out of the crib. I reverse crawled to the edge and basically fell off. The landing hurt. I almost cried. And at this point, crying would summon every maid in the building. I bit down on my baby gums and held it together through pure willpower. Step 2, crawl to the door. Made it. Feeling heroic. Step 3, open the door. I couldn't reach the handle. I just sat there, on the floor, staring up at a doorknob that might as well have been on the moon. 6 months of planning, a painful crib escape, and my entire mission was defeated by the fact that I'm 14 inches tall. The maids came back and found me sitting by the door like a sad little potato. Adventure over before it started. I didn't attempt again for 2 months. Not until I could stand. Attempt number 2 was an engineering masterpiece. Step 1, climb out of the crib. Easy now that I could stand. Step 2, build a stepping platform out of toys. I stacked blocks, stuffed animals, whatever I could find, right in front of the door. Baby IKEA. Step 3, climb the toy mountain. Reach the handle. Turn it with both hands. Crack the door open slightly. Step 4, jump down, grab a hard toy stick, and use leverage to pry the door open the rest of the way. That's right, I used physics. Archimedes would be proud. An 8-month-old baby just applied the lever principle to break out of his own nursery. I was free. After checking for maids. Coast clear, I beeline straight for the library. I had 2 targets, magic books and history books. Bad news on magic. Turns out spells require precise verbal chanting. My baby mouth can barely handle mama. If I mispronounced a spell, it could literally damage my body. So magic studies were shelved until I could talk properly. Disappointing, but not worth exploding. Good news on history. I managed to read some before the search party found me. Here's what I learned about my kingdom, and honestly, it's a wild origin story. About 1,000 years ago, Igahog I was a famous marshal in some big human empire to the south. He was so popular that the emperor got jealous and decided to kill him. not directly, but by sending him on a suicide mission against the demon race with an army of sick, old, and injured soldiers. Classic jealous boss move. But Igahog I was a genius. He contacted the elves and beast men who were being oppressed by the demons, got the elves to heal his garbage army with magic, trained everyone together, and turned his death squad into an actual fighting force. Then he went on a winning streak against the demons and conquered all the way up to where our kingdom is now. The emperor was furious and ordered him back for a secret assassination. Igahog basically said, LOL no, and declared independence instead. The beast men went north to build their own nation. The elves supported both sides from their forests, and together they fought off 3 imperial invasion attempts. The empire crumbled after that. Other generals saw what happened and declared independence too. The whole empire shattered into tiny countries. Igahog seized the opportunity, grabbed a bunch of territory, and boom, the Igahog kingdom was born. And the Blondfield family? My ancestor was Igahog I's right-hand man. He's the one who built the alliance with the elves in the first place. That's why we got the duchy. Nearly 1,000 years of being top-tier nobility. And it all started because my great-great-great times 100 grandpa was really good at making friends with pointy-eared forest people. I was just getting to the part about why the beast men, who used to be our allies, are now our enemies when the maids found me sitting on the library floor surrounded by books way too big for my body. The look on their faces was priceless. Half panic, half confusion. How did he get here? The door was closed. Yeah. Good luck baby-proofing a room against a kid with a PhD in economics and a working knowledge of simple machines. After my library heist, the maids got orders to watch me around the clock. My adventure career was over before it started. Maximum security baby prison. But time passed, and I kept growing. By age 1, I could speak full sentences. Mom and Dad were so excited they decided to start teaching me to read and write early. Mom volunteered as my teacher, which was perfect because that's exactly what I wanted. Though honestly, I felt a little guilty about all the praise. Everyone thinks I'm a language genius, but half the credit goes to God's language comprehension, gift doing the heavy lifting. I'm basically using cheat codes and accepting the trophy. Sorry, Mom, but you know what would make me genuinely happy? At almost 1 year old, I finally stopped breastfeeding. Finally, a whole year of daily embarrassment, over. I'd gotten used to it by then, but still, freedom tastes sweet, and it doesn't taste like milk. Quick world update. King Igahog III officially retired on January 1st, and Prince William became King Igahog XXXIV. The old king took the royal treasury's money and went on vacation around his own country. Retired king life. Must be nice. Now, being off breast milk meant I ate real food at the dining table, which meant I left my room regularly. And guess what's between the dining room and my bedroom? The library. Every single meal, I'd walk past it and, casually, ask to go inside to practice reading. Brilliant strategy. Nobody suspects the baby who wants to study. At first I played it safe. I'd ask Mom to grab me fairy tales, and whenever a country was mentioned in the story, I'd hit her with innocent baby questions. Mommy, what kind of country is that? Mom, being the dedicated teacher she is, would go research the answer. I was using children's books as a Trojan horse to extract geopolitical intelligence. Espionage level, toddler. Then, at 1.5 years old, I made my move. Mommy, the book says the hero beat the dragon with magic. What's magic? Oh, you haven't seen magic yet, have you? Nope. Fire spark. A tiny flame appeared on Mom's fingertip. Just like that. Casually. Like lighting a birthday candle with her mind. I lost it. Not outwardly. I maintained baby composure, but inside I was screaming. Magic is real. It's right there, on my mother's finger. Mom explained the basics. You circulate magical energy inside your body, chant a spell, and your magic takes the form you want. Simple enough in theory. Can I learn? I asked, doing my best excited toddler impression. Not yet, sweetie. Kids have very little magical energy. Even this tiny flame would drain you completely, and running out of magic makes you feel terrible. It's dangerous, disappointing, but fair. Then something happened that I did not expect. Mom's eyes lit up like someone flipped a switch, and she launched into the most intense magical theory lecture I've ever heard. And I've attended university. Here's what I learned from Hurricane Mom's magic masterclass. Magic runs on internal energy called mana. No mana, no magic. You can train your mana capacity by circulating it through your body, basically pushing mana into different body parts to stretch their storage capacity, like inflating a balloon. Everyone has a natural growth limit, but training gets you there faster. Casting magic requires multitasking on an insane level. You need to circulate mana internally, release it externally, chant the right spell, and vividly imagine the result, all at the same time. If you're targeting someone, add lock eyes on target to the list. It's basically patting your head, rubbing your stomach, singing opera, and doing calculus simultaneously. The imagination part is key. If you can perfectly visualize a flame, you can skip the chanting entirely. But for complex spells, nobody can imagine them clearly enough, so chanting fills in the gaps. Think of chanting as autocomplete for your brain. And here's where it gets wild. There are spell tiers. The lower tier goes from Fire Spark all the way up to Flame Explosion. These are single target spells, standard combat stuff. Upper tier spells are area of effect nightmares. Firewall can split an enemy army in half. Fire Snake is even worse. Fire Rain, yes, raining fire, can decide entire military campaigns. Then there are the world-class spells. Great Flame World turns an entire city into a hell's cape of fire. And the god tier spell, Heaven's Burn, it can incinerate an entire country. Mom delivered all of this with the enthusiasm of a professor who finally found a student who will listen. She was glowing, gesturing wildly, going deeper and deeper into magical theory without stopping for air. Meanwhile, 2 maids were standing in the corner watching a grown woman passionately lecture a 1.5-year-old baby about weapons of mass destruction. Their faces were priceless. Eventually Mom paused, noticed the maid staring, realized what she'd been doing, and cleared her throat. Ahem. Anyway, that's all very advanced. You don't need to remember everything. Just know that it exists. She tried to recover. Lasted about 5 seconds. But you can start training your mana circulation now. The earlier the better. Here's how it works. And she was OFF again. Another 20-minute deep dive. She only stopped when she looked down and remembered she was teaching magical energy techniques to someone who still sleeps in a crib. What I didn't know at the time, and wouldn't find out until later, is that my sweet, gentle, storybook reading mother is actually one of the top-ranked combat mages in the entire Igahog kingdom. A tactical level caster with spirit rank power. One of the strongest magic users in the nation. She wasn't just explaining magic theory. She was a grandmaster excitedly sharing her life's passion with a one person too young to run away. Mom, you beautiful, terrifying woman. You could burn down armies, and you're here making fire sparks on your fingertip for a baby. I don't deserve you, but I'm definitely starting those mana exercises tonight. So Mom taught me how to train magic, and I immediately dove in like a kid cannonballing into a pool. Except this pool was invisible, microscopic, and located somewhere inside my own body. Step 1. Feel the magic inside you. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Imagine you dropped a single grain of sand somewhere inside your body, and now you have to find it using nothing but your brain. That's what sensing mana feels like when you're a 1-year-old baby with almost zero magical energy. Normally, kids start this training around age 6, when their bodies have grown enough to actually contain a decent amount of mana, and they have the mental focus to search for it. A talented 6-year-old can find their mana on day 1. Average kids take 3 or 4 days. I'm starting 5 years early, in a body with roughly the magical capacity of a teaspoon. But here's my advantage, my adult brain. A normal baby has the attention span of a goldfish on caffeine. They can't concentrate for more than a few seconds. My mental focus is roughly that of a 10-year-old, which is wildly overpowered for a baby. Problem number 2, solved. I also reminded myself about God's gift, endless learning. Even if I have zero magical talent, as long as I put in the work, I can learn anything. So worst case scenario, I'm just a really hardworking baby with no talent, which is still better than a regular baby who can't even try. Oh, and one more thing. I had to do all this training in secret. Because if mom and dad saw their 1-year-old baby sitting perfectly still with intense concentration for hours, trying to sense invisible magical energy, that would raise some questions. So I only practiced when nobody was watching. Baby espionage continues. 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks of sneaky meditation sessions to find my mana, and when I finally sensed it, it was hiding near the bottom of my heart. The tiniest, faintest wisp of energy imaginable. So fragile that if I twitched even slightly, it would drift away and I'd lose track of it again. Like trying to balance a soap bubble on a leaf during an earthquake. But I found it. Step 1, complete. Step 2, merge your consciousness with your mana. Here's how mom explained it. Normally, your mana and your willpower are separate things. To control mana, you need to force your mental energy into your mana. Think of it like 2 rivers crashing into each other. Your mana is usually a massive river, and your willpower is a tiny stream trying to drill through it. Even talented people take about a week of daily headbutting before their willpower finally cracks through. Keyword, normally. See, the whole system is designed for people whose mana is bigger than their willpower. Makes sense for 6-year-olds. They've got decent mana pools, but limited focus. My situation is the exact opposite. My mana, in baby terms, is the size of a coin. My willpower, powered by 26 years of adult mental development, is the size of a hand. When I sent my consciousness crashing into my mana, it didn't drill through. It didn't chip away slowly. My willpower straight up engulfed it. Surrounded it on all sides. Squeezed it like a stress ball. 1 attempt. Done. First try. Instant fusion. Mom said talented people take a week. I did it in roughly 3 seconds. Not because I'm talented, because my mana pool is so pathetically small that my overpowered brain just ate it alive. It's like watching a grown man arm wrestle a hamster. Step 3, the long grind. Now that I could control my mana, it was time to circulate it through my body to expand my storage capacity. Push mana into each body part, stretch it out, let it absorb more next time. Like slowly inflating thousands of tiny balloons scattered throughout my entire body. And here's the thing about this step, it can't be rushed. There's no shortcut, no cheat code, just slow, daily practice, pushing mana around, stretching a little more each time. There's also a really important reason to start young. See, your body grows in stages. Baby, kid, teenager, adult, old age. If you've been training mana since stage 1, your body remembers that high capacity and builds on it in stage 2. But if you skip early training and try to catch up later, your body built its foundation on zero training. So your ceiling is permanently lower. It's like compound interest, but for magical energy. Start investing early, retire rich. Start late, and you'll never catch up. Oh, and fun fact, old mages don't get weaker. Once you've hit your maximum capacity at any stage, that level is locked in forever, even in old age. The only mana that shrinks with aging is the mana you didn't develop. So all those ancient wizard grandpas in storybooks with terrifying power, they just trained hard when they were young and kept everything they earned. This is exactly why me starting at age 1 is so insanely broken. I'm getting 5 extra years of compound magical growth that literally nobody else in this world has ever had. By the time I'm 6, when normal kids are just starting, I'll have been training for 5 years already. So yeah, my daily routine is now wake up, eat, practice reading with mom, secretly meditate on mana circulation when nobody's looking, eat again, practice more, sleep. Repeat forever. It's not glamorous. There's no lightning bolts or explosions. Just a baby sitting very still in his crib, eyes closed, quietly becoming a magical powerhouse one microscopic stretch at a time. But hey, every world-destroying archmage has to start somewhere. Most of them probably didn't start in diapers, though. So I found out later what was going on inside mom's head after that legendary magic lecture, and honestly, it's the funniest thing that's happened in either of my lives. First, mom was embarrassed. She realized she'd just spent hours passionately teaching advanced magical theory to a baby while 2 maids stood there watching like, ma'am, he's won. But then she started listing reasons why I definitely understood at least. Some of it, and her logic was hilarious. Evidence 1, I'm smart. She cited the great door escape, when I stacked toys to reach the handle and used a lever to pry the door open. Normal babies can't do that. Fair point, mom. Evidence 2, I can talk in sentences at 1 year old. Most babies my age are still struggling with, mama. I was doing that at 1 month. Also fair. Evidence 3, my curiosity. She noticed I was always steering our fairy tale sessions toward real-world questions. What's a goblin? What's that country like? What's magic? And then she said something that made my blood run cold. I feel like Arthas was deliberately guiding me toward a magic lecture. How? Woman's intuition is terrifying. She literally figured out my entire strategy. The fairy tales as a cover, the innocent questions as breadcrumbs, the slow escalation toward magic knowledge. She saw through me. But then, and this is the part where I exhaled so hard I nearly blew out my own lungs. She thought about it for 2 seconds and went, but he's only 1 year old. There's no way a baby could plan something like that. Saved. By the sheer impossibility of my own existence. Nobody suspects the baby. Nobody suspects the baby. She also noticed I'd been spacing out more often since the lecture, which she correctly guessed meant I was practicing mana circulation. She called it a mother's sixth sense and got all emotional about our special bond. Mom, it's not a spiritual connection. You're just observant and I'm bad at hiding things. But sure, let's call it a bond. That's cute. Now here's where the story gets really good. Apparently, my magic questions didn't just teach me something. They woke something up inside mom. Something that had been sleeping for over a year. Something dangerous. See, before she got pregnant with me, mom was a full-blown magic research junkie. She lived for studying and practicing magic. But pregnancy meant she couldn't use magic for 10 months because, you know, explosions and babies don't mix. Then after I was born, she was so busy being the world's most devoted mother that she just forgot about magic entirely. For over a year, one of the kingdom's top-ranked mages just stopped. Cold turkey. Like a retired rock star who put down the guitar to change diapers. Until I asked, Mommy, what's magic? That one question ripped the lid off a volcano. Suddenly mom was burning with passion again. Her internal monologue went something like this, and I'm barely exaggerating. I want to research magic. I want to use magic. I'm a spirit-ranked tactical mage. I'm one of the strongest casters in the entire kingdom. I'm a national military asset. If I don't use magic, I'll ROE. When I cast that tiny little fire spark for Arthas, it felt foreign to me. Foreign. That's how long it's been. And then she remembered something that truly sealed Dad's fate. Wait, when Vikshir married me, he promised to build me a magic research laboratory. He promised. It's been years. Where's my lab? Mom stormed off to find Dad with the energy of a woman who just realized her husband forgot a major promise. She demanded her research lab. Dad, sweating, admitted it wasn't finished. Now, they've been married for years. There is no way a duke with unlimited resources couldn't finish a research lab in that time. Which means construction obviously stopped at some point and Dad just hoped she'd forget. She did not forget. Mom raised her hand and fired a high-level combat spell in Dad's general direction. She didn't hit him directly. She's a professional, but the blast wave alone left him dizzy and stumbling around like a drunk sailor. My sweet, gentle, storybook-reading mother just attacked my father with military-grade magic because he didn't finish her lab. Dad got the message. The research laboratory was completed in 2 weeks. A project that had stalled for years was suddenly done in 14 days. Amazing what a little spousal artillery fire can do for construction timelines. So to recap, I accidentally manipulated my mother into teaching me magic, which accidentally reignited her passion for magical research, which accidentally reminded her that Dad broke a promise, which led to Dad getting blasted across a room and panic building a laboratory in record time. All because a baby asked, "What's magic?" I'm the most dangerous 1-year-old in this kingdom, and I haven't even cast a single spell yet. Let me walk you through a day in the life of Arthas Blondfield, age 1, secret adult, professional baby. 6:30 a.m. I'm awake, eyes closed. The maids are right there, so I can't just sit up and start meditating like a tiny monk. Instead, I pretend to be sleeping while secretly running mana circulation exercises. This is my morning gym session. Nobody knows. Nobody suspects. Just a peacefully sleeping baby, definitely not training to become a magical powerhouse. Nothing to see here. 7:30 a.m. My stomach or bladder betrays me. I open my eyes, say something simple like, hungry, or bathroom, and the maids spring into action. They wash me, dress me, and bring breakfast. My menu? Porridge and bread. Every single day. I'm the heir to the most powerful duchy in the kingdom, and I eat like a medieval peasant. To be fair, this world doesn't exactly have a wide food selection. No eggs Benedict and Samus, apparently. 8:15 a.m. Off to Mom's room for language lessons disguised as story time. Except lately Mom's been busy every other day. I wonder what that's about. Couldn't possibly be related to a certain magic research lab that was recently completed in a record-breaking 2 weeks after a certain someone got blasted across a room. Nope, total mystery. On Mom's off days, Shia takes over, which means I get to hang out with my little half-sister Dayala. And honestly, she's adorable. Brown hair like Shia, huge blue eyes like gemstones, round chubby face, textbook cute baby. She's also a real baby, which is incredibly useful for me. I watch her to learn how actual babies behave so I can calibrate my own acting. She's my reference manual, my behavioral benchmark. Every time she does something dumb and baby-like, I take mental notes. Ah yes, that's what a normal 1-year-old looks like. I should do more of that. 10:30 a.m., playtime ends. I get sent back to my room too. Rest before lunch. Rest, please. The second the door closes, it's back to mana training. 1 hour of pure, secret magical grinding. I'm like a video game character farming experience points while the NPCs think I'm napping. 11:30 a.m., lunch with the family in our private dining room. Mom and Dad get a full feast. Me, nutritionally balanced, baby food with a tiny bit of meat. I'm sitting at a table that could feed a small army, watching my parents eat like kings while I nibble on mashed whatever. The audacity. 12 p.m., post-lunch walk with Mom. And this is how I finally mapped out my house. Turns out, we don't live in a house. We live in a castle. A legitimate, proper, medieval fortress. Let me paint the picture. There's a massive square wall, 1,000 meters on each side. In the southwest corner, the wall extends inward to form a raised platform, and our castle sits on top of the wall itself, not inside the walls, on them. The open ground inside has gardens, training fields, horse stables, and guard barracks. The castle has 4 floors plus a rooftop. Floor 1, hidden inside the wall base. Kitchen, servant quarters, storage. The engine room of the household. Floor 2, the party floor. Grand hall, dining rooms, indoor training area, entertainment room. This is where you enter from the wall. All the big events happen here. Floor 3, the office floor. Audience chamber, private meeting rooms, Dad's office, bureaucrat offices, the library, staff quarters. Stairs from floor 2 are at the very back for security purposes. Smart. Floor 4, bedrooms, where the family sleeps. Where I sleep. Where I secretly train magic every night. Rooftop, nothing but open sky and a nice view. Guards patrol up here, but it's mainly for relaxing walks. Mom and I come here after lunch to help digest food before nap time. 12:30 p.m., nap in Mom's room. And for once, this isn't a cover for secret training. My baby body genuinely needs sleep after a full morning. I'm out cold in seconds. Being a covert magical prodigy is exhausting work. 2 p.m., freedom. Afternoon is my unsupervised time. I march straight to the library and read everything I can get my tiny hands on. History, geography, politics, whatever feeds my understanding of this world. Then more mana training between chapters. 3:30 p.m., tea party in the garden with Mom, Shia, Dayala, and various noble ladies. This sounds boring, but it's actually my best intelligence source. These women gossip about everything. Whose dog died? Which merchant brought luxury fabrics? Whose husband is cheating? Political alliances, trade routes, order disputes. It all comes out over tea and cookies. I sit there looking cute and absorbing classified information like a chubby little spy satellite. 6 p.m., dinner. More baby food. More watching adults eat better than me. Someday I will eat a steak. Someday. 6:30 p.m., the golden hours. After dinner, nothing is scheduled. No lessons, no walks, no tea parties, no social obligations. For glorious hours until bedtime at 10:30. This is my main training window. Pure, uninterrupted mana circulation. For hours of magical grinding every single night, while the maids think I'm just quietly playing with toys or staring at the ceiling. 10:30 p.m., sleep. Actual sleep. Recharge the baby battery. Wake up tomorrow and do it all again. That's it. That's my life. From the outside, I'm a well-behaved baby who eats, plays, naps, and goes to bed on time. A parent's dream child. From the inside, I'm running a covert self-improvement program that would make a Navy SEAL cry. Language study, political intelligence gathering, mana training, physical development, social camouflage, all squeezed into a schedule built around porridge and mandatory napping. Babyhood is officially over. The grind has begun, and nobody in this castle has any idea what's quietly growing in the nursery on the 4th floor. Well, maybe Mom has a hunch. Her 6th sense is honestly scary. Baby phase, complete. Time for the toddler training montage. Once I hit the age where my body started growing fast, I added physical training to my already packed schedule. During afternoon tea parties, while Mom and the noble ladies gossiped about whose husband was cheating, I was running laps around the garden disguised as playing. Sometimes I dragged Dayala along too. My little sister had no idea she was participating in a military fitness program. She just thought Big Brother liked running in circles, which technically I did. At age 3, I went to Dad with my most innocent face and said, "Daddy, the knights look so cool swinging their swords. Can I learn too?" Dad said yes before I even finished the sentence. He even volunteered to personally teach me. The man was desperate. See, he'd been watching Mom teach me magic for over a year, and he was getting jealous. His wife had a whole bonding thing with their son over spellcasting, and what did Dad have? Paperwork. Mountains of paperwork. So when I handed him the excuse to put down the documents and pick up a sword for the children, he grabbed it like a drowning man grabs a rope. Also, turns out Dad is a spirit rank swordsman, one of the best in the kingdom. Just like Mom is one of the best mages. My parents are both top-tier combat monsters who fell in love and made me. No wonder everyone's watching to see how I turn out. I'm the child of a magical nuke and a human blender. Dad could only manage 1 or 2 training days a week because of Duke duties, but the Castle Knights picked up the slack on the other days. Now, here's where I learned something fascinating and terrifying about how combat works in this world. Magic ranking is based on knowledge. If you've studied enough to understand a spirit level spell, and you have enough mana and mental focus to cast it, congratulations, you're spirit rank. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'd win a fight against a lower ranked mage. A fire mage who reaches spirit rank could still get destroyed by a mid-tier water mage because of elemental weakness. So magic rank measures military value, not personal fighting power. Swordsmanship is the exact opposite. It measures raw combat ability, and the rankings are brutally strict. The key ingredient isn't strength or agility. It's something called vision. You can memorize every move of a spirit level sword technique. Practice it 1,000 times until you can do it with your eyes closed. You are still not spirit rank, because memorizing choreography isn't fighting. Real combat requires adapting, reading your opponent, seeing openings they don't even know they have. That's vision, and you either have it at that level or you don't. The result? In swordsmanship, beating someone 1 rank above you is basically impossible. Not difficult, impossible. A higher ranked swordsman sees holes in your defense that you don't even know exist. To them, fighting you is like an adult taking candy from a baby. Fights between ranks don't last, they end in seconds. But here's the trade-off. Swordsmen are way less useful in war than mages. A spirit rank swordsman can take out maybe 200 soldiers on a battlefield. Sounds impressive until you realize a spirit rank mage can blast a single spell into a crowd and vaporize hundreds in one shot. An upper rank mage can throw up a firewall that stops an entire cavalry charge cold. One person, one spell, battle changed. Swordsmen win duels. Mages win wars. Both matter, but differently. Anyway, I spent 3 years training with a wooden sword because my toddler arms couldn't lift anything metal. I learned a ton of techniques, but they were all performed with a stick that weighs nothing. The moment I tried holding a real iron sword, my arms said, absolutely not, and gave up immediately. It wasn't until age 5.5 that I could finally grip a real sword with both hands. Most kids can't do that until 8. So I was still ahead of schedule, but it meant my actual metal sword training only started 6 months ago. In that time, I reached beginner rank, which sounds slow until you remember I've only been using a real weapon for half a year. But the real progress? Magic and language. By age 4.5, I had completely mastered reading and writing. After that, I finally started learning actual spell chanting, which I've been putting off because mispronouncing a spell in this world doesn't just fail. It can damage your body. Imagine trying to say a tongue twister and accidentally setting your own lungs on fire. No thanks. I waited until my pronunciation was perfect. In the 1.5 years since then, Mom taught me entry-level spells in all 5 elements: fire, water, wind, lightning, and earth. Nothing flashy yet, just the basics. But combined with 5 years of mana circulation training that nobody else in this world has ever started this young, my foundation is ridiculous. And through all of this, I never stopped my daily mana training. Every morning, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. Every break between activities. Every night for 4 hours before bed. 5 years of compound magical growth. 3 years of swordsmanship. Complete literacy in a fantasy language. An encyclopedic knowledge of geopolitics gathered from library raids and tea party gossip. Today is March 20th, year 999 of the Igahog Kingdom calendar. I'm 6 years old. Happy birthday to me. The grind never stops. Happy birthday to me. I'm 6, which in this world means I'm officially a child now, and it's time to start getting educated. Let me quickly explain the school system here, because it's actually pretty interesting. The kingdom runs 2 levels of public school, both optional. Elementary academy for ages 10 to 13 covers reading, basic math, beginner magic, and beginner combat. Then high school academy for ages 13 to 16 sorts you into specialized tracks based on your grades. Good at magic? Welcome to the Magic College. Prefer swords? Combat College. You can attend other colleges' classes too, but you must pass your main one. But nobles think public school isn't enough. So rich families hire private tutors starting at age 6 to give their kids a 4-year head start. Less wealthy families pool money together to create mini schools. Basically, the rich kids get premium DLC content before the game even starts. I already have a 5-year head start on the head start, but nobody needs to know that. Anyway, the birthday party. Dad introduced me. Then I stepped up and delivered my own speech to a room full of nobles, merchants, and military officers. Clear voice, perfect diction, confident posture. The crowd was visibly stunned that a 6-year-old just addressed them like a tiny senator. Little do they know this 6-year-old has given university presentations in his previous life. After the speech, reality hit. I was immediately forgotten. Dad became the main attraction for anyone wanting political connections. Mom and Shia got surrounded by noble ladies. Everyone wanted to talk to the adults. The actual birthday boy? Totally sidelined. People would acknowledge me when I walked by. Oh, young Lord Arthas. A pleasure. I'm so-and-so from such and such. But they clearly didn't think a 6-year-old would remember any of them. So after the polite 2-sentence exchange, they drift right back toward Dad. The irony is killing me. I'm mentally 30 years old. I want to talk politics and trade deals and military strategy. But everyone sees a small child and gives me the head pat treatment. Meanwhile, my little sister Dayala, who is actually a normal kid, ran off into the crowd within 5 minutes to explore. At least she's having fun. I was getting bored out of my mind, so I headed to the balcony for some air. And there, leaning against the railing, were 3 kids my age. 1 boy, 2 girls. They were chatting casually when they spotted me. Immediately, all 3 snapped to attention, placed their right hands on their chests, and dropped to one knee. Full formal noble greeting. To a 6-year-old. On a balcony. I was not prepared for that. In my previous life, nobody bowed to me. Ever. The closest I got was a professor nodding at me in the hallway. I recovered quickly. Hey, no need for all that. This isn't a formal event. Just relax. Please stand up. They glanced at each other nervously and stood. I introduced myself and told them to call me Arthas or Al. Then they introduced themselves. First, Coleman Fried. A boy about my height with a brown buzz cut. Son of the Fried family, who are the sword training instructors for our dual army. Third son. Seemed a bit stiff, but eager. Second, Isha Vincent. A girl half a head taller than me with a fiery red ponytail. Daughter of the Vincent family, our army's spear training instructors. Second daughter. She was the first one brave enough to actually talk normally. Third, Rhine Zach. A quiet girl shorter than me with green hair cut short. From the Zach family, our army's archery instructors. Second daughter. spoke softly but seemed sweet. All three were children of our household's military retainer families. My people, my generation. So what are you guys doing out here? I asked. Isha answered first. It's boring inside. It's all adults talking about adult stuff. I felt that in my soul. Except my version of the problem is the opposite of theirs. They can't understand adult conversation, and I can't get adults to have one with me. But boredom is boredom, and misery loves company. So I decided to actually try being a normal kid for once. Right? Same here. Everyone's talking about stuff I can't follow. I've been wandering around alone this whole time. I lied. I understood every word in that ballroom. But I'm not about to tell 3 6-year-olds that I'm secretly a 30-year-old reincarnated economist. Coleman lit up immediately. Yes, that's exactly it. Adults are always busy and we're always left alone. Ryan chimed in shyly. It's so lonely at home. Though it got better when Isha and Coleman started visiting sometimes. Then Isha's eyes went wide. Wait, Arthas, you actually live in this castle? It's so big. And just like that, we were talking. Really talking. Kid stuff, sure, but it felt nice. I got Mom's permission, grabbed a servant escort, and gave them the grand tour of my castle home. They were amazed by everything. The rooftop view, the training grounds, the massive hall, the library. For the first time in this world, I had friends my own age. Sure, I'm mentally 30 and could probably outdebate their parents. Sure, I'm secretly training in forbidden baby magic and reading geopolitical texts at bedtime. Sure, the gap between us is roughly the width of the Grand Canyon. But they were fun. They were genuine. And after 6 years of having nobody to talk to except adults who treat me like a baby and a sister who I as a baby, it felt really, really good to just hang out with kids and pretend to be one. Coleman, Isha, Ryan, my first friends in this world. Acquired at my own birthday party, on a balcony, because we were all bored. Best birthday present I could have asked for. So I found out later what was going on with those 3 kids before I walked onto that balcony, and honestly, it's comedy gold. Let me set the scene from their side. Isha, the redhead with the ponytail, was standing in the banquet hall when her dad pointed at me on stage and basically said, "See that kid up there giving a speech like a tiny politician? That's your future boss. You'll be serving him for the rest of your life." Isn't he impressive? No pressure, right? Imagine being 6 years old and your dad tells you that the fancy kid on stage is your destiny. Isha immediately started feeling inadequate. She watched me deliver my speech, which, let's be honest, I did nail, and thought, he's so amazing. What if I'm not good enough to serve someone like that? Girl, I'm a fraud. I'm a 30-year-old man trapped in a child's body pretending to be impressive. You're fine. Then the food arrived, and Isha forgot all about her existential crisis. Apparently our kitchen went absolutely insane for this party. She couldn't even name most of the dishes. She described the spread as less like food and more like art. The dessert table alone apparently broke her brain. She wanted to devour everything in sight, but her dad had given her strict orders. 1 plate only. Eat slowly. Maintain dignity. She ate 1 plate. Got full immediately because she's 6. Then sat there tragically watching dishes she'd never tasted pass by, mourning the stomach capacity she didn't have. Rich people problems hitting a commoner kid in real time. After the food excitement wore off, Isha, Coleman, and Ryan realized they were the only kids at this party. Every adult around them was networking, drinking, and completely ignoring 3 small children standing awkwardly by the buffet table. They considered coming to find me, but apparently my speech had intimidated them so badly they didn't dare approach. Coleman suggested exploring the castle on their own. Isha and Ryan shut that down immediately. You can't just wander around someone's house without permission, and asking the Duke for a tour pass was way too terrifying. So they retreated to the balcony as a compromise. At least they could look at the castle from outside. And then the conversation turned to me. This is my favorite part. Isha started it. Arthas is really amazing, isn't he? Speaking in front of adults like that at our age. Ryan nodded eagerly. I saw him having actual conversations with grown-ups afterward. Even our dads want to talk to him. He's not normal. Isha again. And he's so good looking too. I really want to talk to him. I wonder what his personality is like. 2 girls gushing about me on a balcony. If only my previous life dating record could see me now. But Coleman. Oh, Coleman had a completely different take. Typical rich kid. Look how short he is. Obviously doesn't exercise enough. I heard he spends all his time reading books in the library. Total pretty boy. And of course adults talk to him. He's a Duke's son. Must be nice never being bored. The girls turned on him like attack dogs. Isha fired first. So what if he's short? You're shorter than me. And he's been training swordsmanship since he was little. Ryan piled on. And what's wrong with reading books? Could you even read one if someone handed it to you? Coleman, backpedaling. What? We haven't even met the guy and you're already defending him? They were in the middle of this full-blown argument about me. A person none of them had actually spoken to when I opened the balcony door. The silence was instant. 3 kids frozen mid-argument, faces cycling through panic, embarrassment, and horror. Isha was internally screaming. He saw US fighting. First impression ruined. This is all Coleman's fault for talking trash. Then Ryan recovered first and dropped to 1 knee. The other 2 scrambled to follow. 3 kids kneeling on a balcony like I was about to knight them. I told them to relax and introduced myself casually. And you could literally see the relief wash over them. They expected some arrogant noble brat and instead got a kid who said, "Just call me out." And Coleman? The guy who was just calling me a short bookworm pretty boy 30 seconds ago? Within 5 minutes he was chatting with me like we'd been friends for years. Agreeing with everything I said. Nodding enthusiastically. Zero trace of that tough guy attitude. Buddy, I heard you. The balcony door isn't soundproof. But honestly, I kind of respect the energy. He didn't like me on principle, met me, and immediately changed his mind. That's not fake. That's just a kid being a kid. And it's refreshing compared to all the adults inside who smile to your face while calculating your political value. After we got comfortable, I asked Mom for permission and gave them the castle tour they'd been dreaming about. Isha was practically vibrating with excitement. Ryan was quietly absorbing everything with wide eyes. Coleman pretended to be cool about it, but I caught him staring at the training grounds with his mouth open. 3 retainer kids who were too scared to talk to me, now walking through my home as my guests. And me, the secret 30-year-old who's been lonely for 6 years, finally feeling like maybe being a kid isn't so bad after all. Even if one of them called me short. I am working on it, Coleman. Give me time. For days after my birthday, formal education officially began. And the best part? Coleman, Isha, and Ryan got invited to study with me. Having friends in class beats sitting alone with a tutor any day, even if I'm secretly decades ahead of all of them. Let me introduce the teaching staff. For combat training, we got the older brothers of my 3 friends. The Fried, Vincent, and Zach families are literally the weapon instructor families for our duchy's army. Swords, spears, and archery respectively. So we basically got trained by our friends' big brothers who grew up swinging weapons before they could walk. For reading and math, we got Lusha. She's an elf who works as the head manager of the front desk at our city's Adventurers Guild. She looks about 20, gorgeous golden hair, big light blue eyes, picture perfect face. But she's an elf, which means her appearance froze at some point, and she could be any age. And indeed, she's been working here for over 40 years. She was already on staff before Dad was even born. She teaches illiterate adventurers to read so they don't accidentally accept the wrong quests, which makes her perfect for teaching kids. The real reason she got the job? Security clearance. You can't just let random strangers into a duke's castle to teach his children. Lush has been around so long she's practically furniture. Trusted furniture with beautiful hair. For magic? Still Mom. Because when your mother is one of the top-ranked mages in the entire kingdom, hiring someone else would be like owning a Ferrari and taking the bus. Now here's where things got awkward. In combat training, the gap between me and the others wasn't huge. Yes, I've been training since age 3, so my stamina and agility were better. Yes, I'd reached beginner rank, but the other 3 come from weapon families. They've been absorbing fighting instincts since birth. They weren't far behind. And here's the annoying part. Isha and Ryan were actually progressing faster than me and Komen because girls develop earlier at this age. Komen was also picking things up quicker than me in pure technique. And my big weakness? Zero real combat experience. I can swing a sword all day, but I've never fought anyone who was actually trying to hit me back. My vision, that critical combat awareness, was basically non-existent. So while I had a head start, they were catching up fast. Fair enough. Combat was competitive but balanced. Magic class? Completely different story. Those 3 hadn't even done basic mana circulation. They were starting from absolute zero. Meanwhile, I'd been secretly training mana since I was 1.5, and had been casting spells for over a year. The gap was so enormous that Mom had to split the class. She'd teach the 3 beginners mana circulation first, give me review exercises on entry-level spells, then come back and teach me intermediate magic while they practiced on their own. It was like putting a college student and 3 kindergartners in the same math class. Which, coincidentally, brings me to the real